Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our statewide webinar series. Today's topic is the School Leader's Guide to MISchoolData Redesign. I'm Jennifer Parker, and I'm joined by Rhonda Provost, and together we are part of a larger team of professional development that works on the Train the Trainer network. And today's broadcast is about long. We are recorded today. If you do want to jump into the slide deck, feel free. It is at thetinyurl.com/school-leader-MSD. And I know Dr. Provost is going to throw that in the chat box so that we can keep on rolling. So welcome everybody. Today is, as I mentioned earlier, it is part of a larger initiative of statewide professional development. Dr. Provost and myself are on today's broadcast, but part of our regional advisory that has contributed to today's materials include Dr. Lisa Lockman out of Wexford, Missaukee, Christy Martin out of Macomb, and Kathy Miller out of Shiawassee RESD, as well as our entire regional advisory committee. So if you are out there in the great state of Michigan, which I know y'all are, you are represented by some very hardworking folks that do professional development and move the message of MISchoolData around the state. They keep you engaged in networking, they provide professional development materials, and they represent the MISchoolData portal at in a lot of statewide groups. So if after today's broadcast you are interested in getting more information or bringing PD to your area, you can reach out to your people that represent you in your region. If you're blue, you've got Kathy Miller and Carol Anthony. If you are green, Stan Masters and Dave Hunt. The red region has got Lisa Meredith and Dan Way. I am in the orange region with Dr. Lockman, and the purple is represented by Valerie Masuga and Rich Marshall. So feel free to reach out to them after today. As I mentioned, the professional development is much greater than just our statewide webinar series. We have monthly talking points that Dr. Provost puts out that comes out over our Train the Trainer listserv, and it has a lot of what's coming soon, new features, new professional development opportunities, and just some great talking points about the portal. There's also the PD toolkit that is evolving on the MISchoolData website, as well as you guys are here for the webinar series. You know that this continues not only through the school year, but through the summer. So we're anxious to get today started, but we wanted you to know it's part of a bigger professional development initiative. So the goal for today's broadcast is to get you in there so that you understand the access and navigation. So we're going to do like a lightning speed round tour with a lot of screenshots. And then at the end of today's broadcast, we'll come in and take some questions and we'll go live on the site. But first of all, our primary goal is to get you in there to see what's there and how to navigate and access material. We also want you to understand a little bit about the education dashboard and the focus areas, because as a school leader, there are certain elements that provide us with a 30,000 foot view. And then there are certain elements that provide us with a dig down to the building level. We're also going to encourage you to make some connections, early childhood, K-12, special ed, career tech ed, post-secondary connections. We'll get in there and show you those different menus, as well as the educator persona. And then we're going to hopefully encourage you to transfer what you get today into your own professional practice and actually get in there and dig in. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Provost, who's going to dig into the Define section and do a really great overview of what is actually in the portal. Dr. P.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's session. And as Dr. Parker mentioned, if you could please also place your comments or questions in the chat. We will be having a Q&A period following today's training. So please feel free to do so throughout. I'm going to begin with the overview of the portal. As school leaders, many of you have probably been transitioning to the new portal. If this is your first area of getting some background knowledge, we're going to first inform you of the pre-K and the K-12 post-secondary and workforce data updates that have happened in those areas of the portal. We're also going to provide multiple levels and views that are based on statewide, whether it be the ISD level you're looking for, school and college level information has been expanded. And then sharing with you quickly how the data comes from a number of sources, including reports that you're responsible at the school building related to the financial information database, EEM, graduation, MSDS reporting for student and pupil accounting, the NPS PR, the SID, the STAR, the REP, etc. A host of reports.
A whole lot of acronyms.
That's right. That
a
are
whole lot of acronyms.
Responsible for the data that's in the portal. And then also sharing with you the presentation of the data available in graphs, charts, trend lines, and downloadable spreadsheets. And then how are we making connections, not only with MISchoolData and the redesign, but with other state initiatives, including MyKIP and the My Data Hub, as well as your local data. So really we're looking at the lens from cradle to career is what they say. So where does the data come from? Well, it begins from the schoolhouse. Obviously, there is testing information. There's a secure site where all that student level data is housed and you need a secure login. Dr. Parker will talk about that shortly. And then what access you have depends on your role that you are in the school. And then that information is transferred to the CEPI platform where they upload these reports, and it's available on a public and a secure user basis. So a very a wide variety of reports in the MISchoolData portal. Just real quickly, we are really retiring the legacy site, and it now is primarily available in the redesigned site. But just to kind of give you an example, we had that window of time about, I don't know, I guess it was about 6 months, where once we transitioned the login process and got through the migration with the login, then we also had many reports that we're still pulling through from the old site, from the legacy site. So hoping that as you are transitioning, you are now pulling your information from the redesigned site because the legacy site is retiring. So now I'm going to move into what is new in the portal. We're very pleased to share with you some of the new features of the MISchoolData portal as it launched in October. This particular quick start guide is a really nice handout if you're looking at providing some training or even for yourself for use on the new navigation process with the menus, the personas, what specialized home pages are available now, the search feature, what report updates, and then finding locations maybe for your ISD or perhaps your district or school level. So
this is a great one-pager.
Yeah, it's a very nice tool. And the link is in the bottom left-hand corner and it's downloadable. So next we're going to move into the My Login third party. Now keep in mind that we have exhausted the migration process. That is done. That was done in the fall, actually late summer into the fall. And then now what you have to have is a My Login third party. It's not the login like for your state campground sticker. It's the My Login third party, and your use will be for MISchoolData. And as Dr. Parker mentioned, we have many screenshots here that'll be nice for you to be able to take back and transfer into your own local areas for training. In this particular example, she's showing what you will, once you log in, it will bring up homepage of your name as a user, hopefully not someone else's. Everybody needs their own secure login. And then you will want to select for the Center for Educational Performance and Information. And then that will provide you then with the MISchoolData. It should pull that down and that's what you would be selecting. So you have to create the login.
And I'll just add that this is a step that a lot of folks miss when they create their My Login third party. They don't go in and activate the account and go in and request access. They figure, oh, I got a My Login third party account, I'm good. And that's not really what happens. What happens is there's a couple of more steps to the process. And as you'll see, once you get your account and you get activated, you have to go in and request access because there's a whole list of apps in the My Login third party that you could be requesting access to.
And also it used to be that you could just call your technical person at the ISD and they would make the magic happen. there's steps prior to that now that you're responsible for. So this would be step 2 in the process. To activate your secure login, that would be at your ISD level. And we just have a quick snapshot here of the contacts. This directory is updated monthly. It's also located on the key help in the CEPI website. We provide the curriculum contact for all of the 56 ISDs, as well as who the accountability contact is, the technical contact for account activation, and then, as Dr. Parker mentioned, the Train the Trainer network, which is part of what we are providing through the learning launch with the portal on the PD side. So also keep in mind that you have to complete the FERPA quiz to be able to have access to the secure access.
And so what happens in most of your ISDs is you reach out to that technical contact after you've gotten your MyLogin third-party account and ask for a MySchoolData app in your list. Then you do the FERPA HIPAA with your ISD like you used to, and we go in and we see you listed of all the MyLogin third parties. We click on your name and we make you active in the MySchoolData system. So we know that it's a little bit more work. Don't shoot the messenger, but know that your ISD folks and those technical contacts are still your resource, but they're going to tell you, please get your MyLogin third-party account first. We can't help you until you do that.
Thank you for that clarification. And then, as Dr. Parker mentioned, there will be roles and responsibilities. As a school leader, you're probably going to have access to quite a bit of information related to the portal because of your role as a building leader. We have the open to the public is about 95% of the portal. And then the secure login, such as your logins, will be because they are protected by privacy rights with student level data, whether it be at the building or district level, and a login is required to be able to access that data. So the public is not able to drill down to Mrs. Smith's third grade classroom and students that were proficient on the M-STEP or what her class roster was for the school year. That's not available to the public.
And I'd like to share for the school administrators that are on the call today that are in charge of some accountability. If you are looking at accountability data, if you're a central office person, you probably are in charge of accountability as well as able to file appeals. But if you need to view accountability information, that's a separate permission in MySchoolData. And when you do go to your ISD to request to do your FERPA process and say, hey, I'm a school principal, if you do accountability work, you should also let them know that that is an additional permission. So that's a tip for everybody on the broadcast today. If you have an accountability hat that you wear, make sure you've indicated that to your ISD folks when they're creating your login or activating your account. That's an additional permission.
That's a really good point, Jen, because I know we had those inquiries with the AER reporting and such. All right, so what's new? Well, let's look at the connections area. This is the top menu bar. It's darkened, it's in black. We have connections, education map, support, and then we also have, and my screen is hidden, the sign-in area. So what you'll find with the pulling down the connections, it's all of your educational entities that are basically a click away. So for instance, My Data Hub is on here, MSDS. This is really a menu put together for all of those one-stop shops to get you quickly to those areas without actually going back and forth and logging in. So you can go to these areas and access what you need based on whatever association you're affiliated with. Next, we have the education map. For purposes of this presentation, we have listed where the little graduation caps are, all of the areas that are accessible, either school districts or ISDs or public school academies that report information to the portal. Underlying that, we have an example here for Jackson Public Schools. So when you click in or type in your inquiry that you would like Jackson, as we have in this example, it'll pull down Jackson Public Schools. You will have an opportunity to select what related location would you like. What are some of the fast facts? And next to the facts fast, it will provide you with the most current data that has been updated in the portal. So for purposes of this illustration, you can see 2019-20. More data is coming in as we're progressing through. You can also
These
look
graduation caps, I'm sorry, these graduation caps are, you'll be familiar with these because they started in the parent dashboard, and that's how we got used to using those graduation caps. And if you click on the graduation cap, it kind of blows it up. So they look like little red blobs at first, but if you zoom in, you'll be able to pick the spot on the map.
Next, you can look at related locations, and you can also explore and compare. Next, we have the support area, which is really a quick reference. It provides FAQs, where do I contact, and it also has the professional development toolkit that Dr. Parker talked about that's evolving and under development with the redesign.
And I want to take over for just a second here,
Sure.
Dr. P. With the support piece, there's a whole variety of options with support. There's FAQs and contacts and quick reference, etc. But the search feature is probably a little bit better than the support piece, in my opinion. I'd rather just search for what I'm looking for in the site.
That's a good tip. And then you talked about the search feature. So this is really like having a Google Drive, and a Google search engine right on the portal. So this is an example of some snapshots that we took for results.
And then there's the menus and the personas, which obviously Rhonda talked about the black bar across the top, and that you've got these menus here. And then there are the personas. And do you want to talk a little bit about what the difference is, RP?
Sure. So with the personas, we have added educators, parents, policymakers, and the media. And each one of these are unique and have information is a one-stop shop. If I'm a reporter for, let's say, the Free Press, I can go to media, and that's going to provide me with information that would be relevant to my particular position. Same with policymakers or parents. Educators, we have quite a developed toolkit here for educators. And the other ones are still evolving and under development.
All right. And I'm gonna take over for you so you can grab a glass of water.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm gonna take into what's new. All righty. So what else is new? It would be the navigation bar. This is kind of, it's a little bit reminiscent of your the old submenus that we used to have on the site, but your navigation bar actually pops out here on the left. It's kind of like what we used to call the submenus, and it'll allow you to navigate throughout. A couple of new features that are available with the What's New is on many of the home pages or the landing pages, they now have some tools or some tabs. Trending Now, which would show you hot things that are happening in the portal. Featured dashboards, which are obviously based on the persona that you are wearing. And then some connections, which they'll give you some additional hot links to move through. So these new look and feel of the home pages and the landing pages, there's a lot of functionality there. Most of us have heard of MyKIP. So if you've heard of MyKIP, then you know that MISchoolData and MyKIP are going to be BFFs. And MISchoolData is actually coming into the MyKIP system through a technology called a pinhole. And pinhole technology is actually bringing information over from the legacy site into the new site or into MyKIP. So when you hear folks in circles talking about pinhole or coming through the pinhole, that is just a fancy way for saying they're bringing it in from another source, and it is coming in through the pipeline. Rhonda, did you want to talk about comparison tool?
I sure can. Thank you for helping me out there.
Yeah.
All right. Comparison feature. You can compare schools, you can compare districts, and you can compare ISDs. So basically what we have provided for you is a quick snapshot where you can select up to 20 locations across our great state on a variety of topics. So what you will do first is you will use your little carrot and determine how you would like that. Would you like statewide? Would you like ISD? Would you like local district? And then what year, what time frame would you like to collect that information? What metric are you looking for? Are you looking for student counts? Are you looking for schools of choice? Are you looking for third grade reading or third grade proficiency on the M-STEP? And then what subgroups are you looking for? Are you looking for economically disadvantaged? Are you looking for male, female population? So these are just some examples of what this report will provide. And then basically you can access the report then with a snapshot or a trend example.
And we waited a really, really long time for this compare feature. This slowed the ta-da moment on the portal. But I got to say, the compare tool is really fabulous, and it's definitely worth going in there and being able to compare yourself to other places. I think people got spoiled in the parent dashboard by being able to look at the comparison piece there. So it's now live in the redesign.
And then just real quickly, I'll take you into the state initiative. So please know that the MISchoolData, Dr. Parker talked about the regional advisory group. And gosh, I want to say it's been probably about 27 months ago with both platforms looking at redesign with MKIP as well as with MISchoolData redesign. We were really collaborative in those efforts. And so we've really connected state initiatives so that our platforms are talking together. Our platforms are collaborating on a regular basis. And as the work progressed with these two groups, we came up with this tool. Actually, it was authored by Kathy Miller from Shiawassee RESD to connect data and systems. And we have a link there to the left of the slide. And basically looking at Michigan Data Hub. How are these educational systems in this framework process all connected, along with MISchoolData in your local data warehouse? So these were some intentional pieces of work that were completed with these work groups.
And the next couple of slides in the deck really just kind of dig deeper into each of the four elements. What we think it's important for school leaders to understand is that what is the data hub? It's a data highway. It's a data exchange. It's a way for you to exchange data between two places. The MISchoolData platform is state data that is there. As Dr. Provost mentioned, 95% is public data, but you do have that 5% of your state assessment scores and some others. Then you've got your local data warehouse, which obviously could be a way for you to push data up into the MyKIP system. But your local data warehouse is probably either your Illuminate or your Performance Matters or whatever local data warehouse system you are using to, pull down grades and put your local assessments into. And then lastly, the bottom row or the bottom piece is the MyKIP. So those three data pieces are going to feed into MyKIP to help you inform your continuous improvement processes. And so a couple of the slides that come through here, we won't go into a lot of detail, but they mention those three elements in a little more detail so you guys can, as school leaders, talk intelligently about what each one of them is. There's been a lot of confusion out there about what each one does and what data is going to be used to inform MyKIP. So something that's pretty exciting here is Rhonda and I are going to be doing a data-driven dialogue webinar, but Dan Way out of Barry and Risa is phenomenal. She's part of our regional advisory. If you guys have never met Dan, seek her out because she's fabulous. She has put together some resources for our MISchoolData Train the Trainer, and this would be a great download for school leaders after today's broadcast. And what it is it is actually a way for you to take a look at data, the data that is in the MISchoolData portal, and how you might use that with the MyKIP system. And so she's given you some recommendations on finding pieces in the MISchoolData portal, as well as what it could be used for to inform your continuous improvement piece in the MyKIP system. So I would encourage you to check that out after today because that is a really great resource and there's a lot of them embedded in the slide deck. And then lastly, before we move into the dashboards and education focus areas, we've got the connections to the My Strategy Bank. So with that said, how about menus and personas? What do you think, Dr. Provost? Can you tell us a little bit about the personas and the menus? I know we did a little quick overview of this, but could you go deeper into what they're going to find when they go into the menus compared to the personas?
I sure will. Thank you for the timeout for my voice. Yes, with the menus, every menu, what you will see here is all of them have what we call a landing page and sub-menus. And when you pull down the landing page for each of the menu areas, what you're going to find is most popular, recent updates, and upcoming are going to be populated on every one of these landing pages. And so what this is telling you is these are the reports or the searches that are most frequent on the MISchoolData portal, what's recently been updated in the portal, and then what's coming, what's trending, what's on the hopper for new to be updated. In other words, the data sets of what will be updated. And so for the dashboards and education focus areas, what you will see is we have 3 other accesses. After the landing page, you can go into post-secondary reports by college and university, post-secondary reports by high school, and then the college data files. Now, anytime you see any information that's reported by students, you know that that's going to be a secure login required.
And a couple of things about the menus. They're similar to what we were used to in the old legacy site, but Dr. Provost, where are they going to find special ed on the menu list? It used to be on the old menu. Where is special ed hidden?
Special ed has now been added in the K-12, and I always frame students as special education is a service. It's not a place. And so when students come to our schoolhouse, they all start in the general education environment. And so now special education is included in the K-12 area of the menu.
Yay. And I know you talked a little bit about the landing pages, but that's a shift from how we did business in the legacy site. Now every part of the menu has their own landing page, which is kind of like a home page for that section of the portal. So early childhood's got a landing page, and K-12's got a landing page, and post-secondary's got a landing page. And I know it's a landing page that has all the hot links for those menus. But all right, personas. Tell us about personas.
Well, personas are also with landing pages. For example, here we have data and insights for K-12 educators. What you will find here is you have some featured dashboards, and think of these as your 30,000-foot view. Featured reports, for example, the financial transparency dashboard, education dashboard, what was known as Our Schools at a Glance, that falls into the featured dashboards.
And I think this one is why we spotlighted this one, because we're school leaders in the house today. That educator persona, if you haven't spent a lot of time on the redesign site, this is really great one-stop shopping to get you jumping on the bus for MISchoolData redesign. So instead of going to the menus, go to the persona called educator persona. It's got all the hot links that we were used to. It takes us to the inquiries that we used to run frequently. We don't have to navigate a lot of the different places. One-stop shopping is the educator persona. And you see this comprehensive list of all the things you can do just on that one page in MISchoolData.
So for example, before you advance this, special education, even though it's housed in the K-12 landing page area, you can see through the educator lens. Here it is in the persona built specifically for educators. And this is also evolving.
Absolutely.
All right, Dr.
All right, well, I'm going to shift gears here, and I'm going to take us to a little bit of a tour of the dashboards and education focus areas before I go, on the homepage, I'm just going to do a quick little review here. We have gone across this black toolbar. We've looked at connections. We've looked at the education map support, and we talked about the sign-in. We've also taken a look at what are menus and what are personas. Now, we're going to dig deeper into this first part of the portal called Dashboard and Education Focus Areas. And what I love about this is educator persona is a 30,000 foot view, but it lets you dig in. The Dashboard and Education Focus Areas is definitely a 30,000 foot view. And if I was a school leader, I would spend time at a school board meeting or with my school board, taking them through the Dashboard and Education Focus Areas, because you're going to see what is in there that is going to be of interest to your school board, as well as folks in your community of stakeholders. So you come into Dashboard and Education Focus Areas. The landing page has got links to what the MISchoolData portal thinks are going to give you a 30,000 foot view of your district. From the education dashboard to our schools at a glance, the parent dashboard, those dashboards are hot linked there on the landing page. If you stay on the landing page, all the things from the ed focus area are there, including accountability and some other pieces. So this is your one-stop landing page, kind of like your home page for that 30,000 foot view. If you go to the dashboard sub menu, it'll give you these hot links. You probably are familiar with the Our Schools at a Glance and the parent dashboard and district best practices and the ed dashboard. Those were in the legacy site. We used to have to dig around trying to find them. Now they're here. So dashboard has a lot of functionality. If you come in here, you go to dashboards, the Our Schools at a Glance. If I load this, it's going to bring me to that ever popular Our Schools at a Glance, which tells me who the superintendent is, tells me what my legislative districts are, and I can just go ahead and get more information. I'll go ahead and run a quick inquiry here. Actually, I'll just pull up a school district. We got Lenaway in the house, don't we? You're muted, Dr. P.
Yep. I just want to make a point, Jen. When you talked about, so when we go to this area or you go to this area on your own, and let's say, for example, it is the wrong school leader at your building. That is part of the education entity master. Usually there's 2 designees at a district level to change that. The next date to change that is April 7th. It's due by the close of business on April 7th. So if you are not being reported as the person of contact for that building or that district, even as a superintendent, that's where it needs to be changed at your district level.
And I got an awe snap, so I'm going back to the slide deck. So dashboard education focus area is the second part of this piece of the portal. You can see the links to your district accountability as well as the connections to the high school students. So those education focus and dashboards are out there for you to check out. I do want to share with you, if I come back here to the example of Addison Community Schools, this Our Schools at a Glance. What Rhonda's talking about is right here. If your superintendent has changed or this information is incorrect, all the data that feeds there here, as well as in the parent dashboard, comes from the EEM. So if you need to make updates, that's where the source happens. And this has got those fast facts, a summary of your academic performance for several years and across content areas, the teacher effectiveness and student ethnicity breakdowns, and then school finance. So these are the kinds of things that you'll find in Dashboard and Education Focus Area. It's those snapshots of the 30,000 foot view. The other thing I will mention about the Dashboard and Education Focus Area is, before I leave the dashboard, I wanted to share with you the COVID-19 Learning Plan dashboard, which is relatively new since November. All of the remote learning plans and continuity of learning plans are being posted here. And so if you are looking for trends or looking to compare yourself to what other districts or find out what your neighbors are doing, you can go into the extended COVID-19 dashboard and see those reports. And I did mention a couple of spotlights. As school leaders, you guys would definitely want to be interested in school grades or school accountability. Those are out there in the dashboard. All righty. I know we've spent a lot of time talking, and I hope you guys are adding questions to the chat box. We will have a few minutes at the end, but keep those coming into the chat, and we're going to keep moving ahead. We're going to go next to the K-12 piece of the portal. Now, when I come into the K-12 piece of the portal, we know that most of you folks are a K-12 administrator, or you're in a K-12 district or service to a K-12 district, and that is the hat that you wear. Many of the functionality that we enjoyed from the previous legacy portal is still in the K-12 menu. However, you're going to notice that special education is now here. You've still got your ELL data with your WIDA. And there's one down here called K-12 school data files that used to be located in what was called other and data files. So there's a couple of tweaks to the K-12 menu. First and foremost being the landing page, but we're going to try and show you a few of the glitches or give you some tips and tricks so you can get into the K-12 and get started right away. So first place to go. We mentioned educator persona as a great starting point. If I was wearing my school administrator hats and I was working with my continuous improvement team or my school improvement team, I would bring them to the K-12 landing page, because the K-12 landing page has every single inquiry you could run in the K-12 menu, and it's one-stop shopping, y'all. It's fabulous. So if I'm looking for attendance or non-resident or any of these inquiries, I can run them from here, from the K-12 landing page. And you guys can give me snaps in the chat box, or give Seppi snaps in the chat box, because we love this. This used to be on a page in a legacy site called Data Tools for School Improvement, but now it is here for everybody on the K-12 landing page. To navigate to some of these, just for a visual, if you come into the K-12 menu, that's the main menu. You also have, these are called submenus, and these are called the reports, the blue reports. Now, the next step would be, when you get into a report, you're going to run that inquiry. Gone is the yellow edit report button. We now have these much nicer looking drop-down inquiry filtering boxes. And one of the keys to making the magic happen is, once you've done your inquiries, you need to click on the blue update report button, because it will not load unless you click on that blue button. Another thing I will mention is, up here in the top right-hand corner, we see a lot of carrots, or it's for navigation. The caret is to collapse and expand. And so sometimes these are collapsed or expanded. So just a tip and trick about these inquiry boxes: use the blue update report and use the caret to collapse or expand. When you come into the student submenu, you have looked at the landing page. You kind of got a little clue about how to run a report or an inquiry. We're going to look at students. Again, all of the student counts that you used to know, from graduation dropout, mobility, schools of choice, which are non-resident. Many of these files that we enjoyed previously are all here under the student submenu. One example would be your schools of choice and other non-residents. And if you are looking to find soup to nuts, what is the demographic of your students who have left you, or who you have recruited into your district, or who's leaving you to do homeschooling or non-public, or who's at your ISD in center programs, make sure you check all those boxes. That's a great example of a really good report you could run for your school improvement reporting. The accountability submenu is the second one. From your annual ledger report to your school index to your school grades, these are all one-stop shopping under school accountability. In this submenu, you will notice that I also showed you this in the dashboard. So school accountability is in two places, but it's going to have the same information. State testing submenu has been updated. You got your PSAT data, your student growth, your high school state testing, etc. Those are all there. And if you have a secure login, you are able to get to the student level. We gave you an example of the high school state testing. Again, you choose that report. You pick if you want a snapshot, trend, or student breakdown. You set up your inquiry and update the report, and that will run your report. There's also a college readiness report. So if you were looking to see, a lot of our high school counselors really enjoy the state testing section as well as the post-secondary section, because they're looking at the career and college readiness and how well their students are doing when they move on to another institution. The next menu or submenu within K-12 is the English learner data. If that's the hat that you wear, you probably are going to be interested in the English learner dashboard, which just got 4 new tiles of options. So that English learner dashboard is really expanding to WIDA and beyond. So we would encourage you to check out, if you wear the ELL hat, that is definitely an evolving part of the portal. The special education submenu, I know Dr. Provost is very excited about the fact that this now lives in K-12, which is where it should be. There are several ways for you to run inquiries in special ed. If you have been hearing about the new special ed dashboard that is still under development, we are still really excited about that. But you are able to do things like run data portraits to track an example of how many students in your district are on the spectrum for autism. So you're now able to run a data portrait by disability report, and you'll see all the different disabilities, and that can help you sometimes in staffing conversations as well as special education. The post-secondary report by high school, again, I'll mention that school counselors really are engaged in this section. This is why school counselors definitely want to have a login. They can get to several of the data downloads as well as to the student level for some of these, where they're looking at student transition to college and career readiness. They're also looking at success rates, how successful their high school graduates were in college classes, how many of them had to take remedial classes, which could come back to inform your high school English teachers to say, hey, you know, our kids can't take English 101, they need 055. So lots of different conversations that can happen with this post-secondary to high school data set. Career technical education, if you wear that hat or if you're a CPED director, I can't tell you how proud I am of being a part of this section of the portal, because this really has evolved over the last couple of years, and we really worked hard to get this where it is today. And it is still evolving. When you come here into the CTE section, there are lots of different reports you can run, from completers to what they do after high school, how many are enrolled in programs. And there's also the brand new mapping feature where you can come in as a public user, click on an area in the state of Michigan and see where they have an auto body program, or who has cosmetology in the state of Michigan, who's running that program, or how many students are enrolled in the market cluster. So lots of great reports that are out here in CTE, if that is the hat that you wear. And here's an example of that location and program search feature, which is really, I just love this map feature. If your students are really wanting to be in construction, you can see where the geography leads them to that opportunity. We're running down to the last couple in the K-12 menu, the staffing. Obviously, as a school leader, you would be interested in staffing counts and educator effectiveness. I do want to let you know that this does not include staff names. It is a general file, a general Excel spreadsheet that can be downloaded. It'll give you basic counts. It'll give you averages on effectiveness ratings. It will not get to the teacher level. So the staffing is not to the teacher level. Same with the administrators. They will give you averages and numbers that are not going to give you any identifying information. So because it is public part of the portal, know that there are no names. And the last two would be financial and district school information. This one is very popular with our school business officials. Where we really like to start you in financial and school district is in the financial transparency dashboard, because the financial dashboard has some great overviews of your district, like a snapshot that you might be interested in. So again, you'll come in, you'll run a query, I'll just pick a school. Let's go here to my Macomb ISD. And I'll pick my district. and I'll update my report. And what it'll do is it'll give me a snapshot of trend lines over 5 years. And here's the little carrot I was talking about, how the carrot can drop down and come up, and you'll be able to see your data tables, your trend lines. And this is a great resource, not only for you as a school business official or as a principal, it's also great to look at with the school board hat on. So that's the financial transparency dashboard out there in the portal. Last section in the K-12 menu is K-12 school data files. This used to be in a different part of the portal, but now it's right here because if you were interested in downloading data files, if they are public, you are actually able to get them using your school email address. And what will happen is you'll come into K-12 data files, you will enter the information data set that you want, and it will know who you are if you're logged in to send you what appropriate information you have access to. Otherwise, it will just send you the public data that's available for that. So there's a lot of great K-12 school data files that many of our continuous improvement teams grab for use with their MyKip work. And here are some other examples of data sets that you might pull down in this K-12 menu. One that we wanted to spotlight before we left this section was graduation and dropout rate. And just that you're going to put in your information, here's the little carrot to be wary of, and then update the report. And then you will see some similarity because it does pull from the old legacy site through the pinhole, some of the old information, and the new information will have a little bit different look and feel. So that was the K-12 menu. As I know I talk really fast, and I hope those chat questions are coming in. If you have anything you need to know about the K-12 menu, feel free to put those in the chat box. I'm going to blast through the last section of our menu and our agenda for tonight, and then I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Provost to close us down. So if you're a school leader, we've given you some basic information in the dashboard and education focus area. We've talked about K-12 and how you can dig deeper. But there's often time when you want to dig into a specific student subgroup. And so because this was happening so often and it's such a important part of what we do with school data, it has now got its own real estate up here on the MISchoolData website. So it is right next to the K-12. When you come into student subgroups, you'll be able to, it kind of lands on a home page where it'll say, hey, here's the subgroups that that are very popular for inquiry. And we've given you one here in the slide deck, from the early middle college to migrant students to the homeless, foster care, English learners. These are the most popular subgroup categories that inquiries were being made on the MISchoolData portal. So what they did is they tried to make it easier for you to run these inquiries by giving it its own real estate on the website. So when you come in, you're going to pick your subgroup. And again, these are called report categories, and this gives you an opportunity to view the report. The hyperlinked are the different reports that you can run. And this has got that search functionality that Dr. Provost mentioned, kind of that Google search, where you enter your subgroup if you wish to, but it will filter by the content or the location, and it'll also give you additional ways to filter down to the specific element of the subgroup that you're hoping to talk about. And lastly, you'll get the beautiful new inquiry boxes that have the fun little carrots for you to be aware of, the blue update button, and go ahead and make your inquiries about that subgroup. So here we've given you an example of what that inquiry looked like, soup to nuts, for the economically disadvantaged, and how we might run that. And you'll notice that when you do run these subgroups, it's pre-filled a lot of your indicators because it knows what you want. So it's saving you some clicks. We also gave you an example of the college undergraduate enrollment. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Provost, and she's going to take us into the closing, and then we'll go live to the site and answer some Q&A.
All right. Well, as school leaders, you have just observed the landscape from what I say is cradle to career in its entirety. We hope that our session today was to familiarize you with the reports, the new features, and also the abundance of functionality that's been added recently to the redesigned portal. We have thousands of report combinations. We were told at one time there's like 98,000 reports that can be generated from the MISchoolData portal with the various features and inquiries. Our spotlights today included the new educator persona menus, the dashboard and education focus areas, as well as the K-12 grade menu in its entirety and the student subgroup menu. So we hope that those, all of those areas were assistance to you as you are taking the MISchoolData portal and providing PD in your own areas. If you have any questions, as Dr. Parker mentioned at the beginning of the session today, we have regional leads across the state. Please feel free to reach out to any of them for additional training or resources that would be assistance to you and your teams as you are planning with your continuous improvement efforts this school year. We also have a few more webinars. We are, I believe, now 16 down, 3 to go. Today's webinar was also provided to stakeholder groups back on November 3rd. So this is a second round of the leader section. However, we do have a new teacher coming up in April, as well as the data dialogue that Dr. Parker mentioned, that Dan Way will be joining us in that presentation. And then we're going to wrap it up for the school year with the pre-K 20. Also new and will be released very shortly, sometime this month, is we do have now 4 lessons that will be available through the EduPass platform. There are 4 lessons to navigate the MISchoolData redesign, starting with lesson 1. That's basically the overview. Dashboard and education focus areas are lesson 2, personas 3, and then a tour of the PK 20 menus. And these are all available for one sketchy each lesson. If you are interested in obtaining sketchies for today's session, we have a back channel link here. And what you will need to do is click on the unique session attendance. You will notice that there are going to be other names already populated for those that attended the webinar back on November 3rd. Fill in the questions that are asked of you, and then you can download the sketchy application form, complete that, and then follow up and send that to Angie Cheerio. She's our administrative assistant at Macomb ISD, who will process that paperwork for you.
Yes, it's a 2-step process. Fill in your attendance and then grab the sketch application and kick that to Angie Cheerio.
And there's just some really short questions to answer. And this is part of our PD network. We need this data for use in the grant. Any information that you may need following this session, we have some resources available for you that are located on the Professional Development Toolkit. And keep in mind that that site is evolving on a regular basis. If you have any questions that are related to the technical aspect, you can please contact the CEPI Help Desk. For My Login Third Party, visit the My Login Third Party Help page and notice that we have links here for you. And then, of course, your technical contact at the ISD. I had an inquiry through the presentation today, and the person was able to get logged in, and then just today she couldn't get logged in. So that would be an example of following up with your technical contact. And then for the Train the Trainer Network, on behalf of Dr. Parker, Kathleen Miller, Kathy, Christina Martin, as well as Dr. Lisa Lockman, we thank you for attending today's session. And if you have any questions, you can follow up with Dr. Jen and Kathy. So on behalf of our team at the Macomb ISD partners, we thank you for attending today. Go out and have a great day. We're going to stay on for questions, and I'm going to stop the recording.